Unturned is presented by UpdateAI.
Every 3 months, my target changes, my comp structure changes, what I'm supposed to be doing changes, and the things that I do in global and key accounts takes like a year to implement these programs. So I start something in January, and then I have to start over again in March, and I have to start over again in June. And then they say, hey, where's usage at? And it's like, well, I haven't fucking finished anything because every single time you told me to paint the wall blue, now I got to paint it red. And tomorrow it's going to be green. So you know what? I'm just going to wait till you figure it out.
People just lack any sense of strategy and control and governance around what's happening. And then everyone wonders why these programs aren't working, why they're not successful, why they can't retain their customers, why they can't grow their customers. And then why CS is being taken away from customer success professionals and being handed back to sales teams. Because we haven't earned the right to keep our business. Shame on us.
Unturned is presented.
That was so anticlimactic.
As most things are with Josh.
Heyo.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, we're talking about.
You want to repeat it now that we start the episode?
Nope.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 20. I don't know why that was so funny. Happy 2025. Happy holidays. All the holidays. Welcome back to live. Well, kind of live. Unchurned. I'm Josh. We have John. We have Kristi. We got the whole gang. We don't have a guest. Our guest is sick.
Our guest is the listener. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. John, over to you.
How are you?
That was cute.
Josh, how was your New Year's? Where did you go?
Huh?
Oh, here we go. Get straight into the banter. I thought we were going to go like professional here, but no. New year, same you. So my New Year was great, John. I think I watched Netflix and I was asleep by 9:30.
Amazing. What show? What binged you? What'd you binge?
Well, actually right now, I don't know if it was that night, but right now I'm watching Brother's Son on Netflix, the Michelle
I've seen it.
Yeah.
They just canceled it. So there's only one season.
Really? It didn't get the views that they wanted? Oh,
it was fantastic. And it was ended on a cliffhanger. And then they said, nope. So,
should we?
It's like everybody working at a startup.
Should we spoil it for everybody here, including myself?
No.
Okay. I really want to watch Shogun, but
it's so good.
Is it? But Jess is not into that, and I'm just like, when do I have the time? And then
very different shows popping up on our Netflix recommendations because I don't even know what any of those shows are.
I'm sorry that we're not watching. What is that? Kinsley Knows Best.
Below Down Under. Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm watching
below
Murder.
Deck.
I'm not
Below Deck. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's either like super trashy reality or like, hey, let's figure out how to kill people.
No, we want to figure out who killed them, not how to kill them.
What's your show right now, Kristi? What are you watching?
Well, I was just watching the most recent 2020 episode, but
what, like with Barbara Walters?
It's not Barbara Walters anymore, okay?
With the ghost of Barbara Walters.
I tried watching Missing You on Netflix because the TikTok girlies were telling me like it was fantastic. And I'm like 20 minutes
Those TikTok girlies are like 12, Kristi. So
no, it's not Lindsay Lohan. It's like Missing You. It's like some weird it's like a 5-part series where the woman, she's like a cop or detective, but like she was engaged to somebody 11 years ago, and then he just went missing.
Then he disappeared.
And then he disappears, and like then he reappears on a dating app that she's on and sees him. But it's like, they're trying to uncover like what happened.
Oh, it's a documentary. This is a real story.
No, and it's not a real story. Well, I don't think it's a real story. It's a show. It's a 5-part series show. It's like a short. But I don't know. I'm like 25 minutes into episode 1, and I'm like, the acting is feeling a little cheesy for me, the storyline, and then we've got some accents. And so like for me, I'm like, I can't really get
Abandon.
Yeah. So I think I told Anthony, I think we're going to jump ship. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's good.
I got to find something
I just finished Shrinking. Have you guys watched Shrinking yet?
I was just going to say, I want to watch season 2. I love Shrinking.
It's so good. Yeah. I am so deep into therapy mind right now. Like that's like all that I'm thinking about.
Oh, it's great. We want to get to that in the next segment.
Yeah, it's on Apple Plus.
It's Apple. It's with Harrison Ford.
I don't have Apple TV.
Yeah.
I'll give you my login, Kristi.
Okay.
Harrison, it's the best role Harrison has ever had.
It's about shrinks. It's great.
Yeah. So, like, do we all have jobs? Like, do we have, like, is CS still a thing?
Well, what do you think?
Today it is. I mean, no one told me otherwise. I mean, I showed up today, so. John, is there something you want to tell me?
No.
Did Dave hire you to lay me off for tomorrow? This is so awkward.
You have that 15-minute calendar meeting too?
Awkward.
Oh, no. Please tell me you don't.
I've never talked to Dave for less than an hour at a time. So no, there's never a 15-minute meeting.
That's good. No, we're starting a new year. I feel like we've had, this is our third year on the podcast. Did you know that?
Wow.
I don't know if it's like consecutive, like 36 months, but it is the third calendar year since we started this in 22.
Time goes quickly. Wait, but so what's your prognostication?
Yeah, I want to know, like, where was this going?
Yes, yeah.
I want to know if you guys are seeing it too, but account management is taking a big swing at the CS pie. I've had 3 of my former CS leaders in the last year transition into director of account management roles or SVP of account management roles and take over larger ownership in revenue and less focus on usage. That didn't have a response.
No. I mean, listen.
Because I don't know that usage is what I would have customer success focus on anyway.
Well, okay. I guess that's a
so I guess you lost me on that because I'm like, that's.
I mean, like the training enablement, like ground floor, like how do we get people up and running on the platform? Not just like, I guess.
Okay, so more traditional usage. Customer success, less revenue focus.
Customer happiness.
You're saying that you're seeing the pendulum swing extremely the other direction and that folks are moving to almost exclusively revenue roles?
I'm seeing, and this is actually the question that I have for you. In B2B enterprise, I'm hearing, this started last year when we were talking about who owns revenue and all this kind of stuff. With it, we're actually transitioning over to an account management model this year, which is for our whole organization, and 55 CSMs are kind of transitioning in that as well. We hired leadership that come from account management, and most of our exiting leadership transitioned into account management roles. So I think one of the things that I'm seeing is 2 things, and this is what I wanted to ask you guys about. Is this industry something that we're seeing in the industry, like a more focused term other than customer success? Because, customer success is a company initiative. It's not a department and all those sunshiny things that we've always said. Or is this people that have been underpaid as CSMs getting really sick and tired of small paychecks and moving into sales? Because that's kind of the thing. It's like, where's the roof for customer success? If you're not getting into director levels or leadership, like, where do you go? And I'm seeing a lot more extreme, like, experience, 10 to 15 years experience, being far more comfortable stepping into an AM role than they are into, whatever extra title they get from a CS.
Because they want to get closer to revenues because they want to make more money. I agree. Yep. But I also think that there's this merger happening, and it happened last year too. This isn't a 2025 thing, of combining CS and account management. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that we want to talk about it exclusively through the lens of titles as much as we do. We should break it down against like roles and responsibilities, because I don't care what you call it. It's like, what is the responsibility of the professionals, right? Exactly. Like, what are they doing in their day job? Because I would say, to Josh's point, right? Like, this isn't a new trend. If we're just seeing these individuals responsible for revenue, maybe getting targets and quotas, maybe it being a bit more structured than it had been. So I wouldn't say that's new, but if you're seeing a complete shift in the abandonment of customer success at an organizational level, and these individuals are pivoting and taking in account management roles to maintain employment, that's different.
Yeah. And I think when I think back to like when I started in CS, traditionally, like I came out of account management roles. Like that was like, it was either customer support or account management. And I think there's 2 types of people 15 years ago that transitioned into CS. It was either the folks that were coming out of support, right, that just needed like a deeper level of career or jobs. And then there's like the sales folks that couldn't sell, right, or weren't really like making it in the BDR AE model, so they move over to CS. And then there's the folks that
didn't want the pressure of the
didn't want the pressure of like the quota,
which might be the same as couldn't sell, but sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess you're right. That was a negative stint on it. Thank you. But then the other side is like, then the sales guys are like, I'm a seller. I'm going to be in sales and I'm going to make my huge money. Right. And then we've just kind of seen it diverge over the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
In the first like 5 or 6 years that I had, I owned renewals. I owned upsells. I owned all of these like commercial conversations. If we were talking about add-ons, if it was a net new team, we kicked that over to the sales team. And I'm seeing this kind of like come back to that model. And I'm seeing a lot of people like, oh, maybe we should call it something else. And we get caught up in these like big feedback loops of like, well, what is it called? And I like what you said, Kristi, is I don't care what you call it. I don't care what your title is. Like, what are your tasks? And I hope that we are seeing, I'm wondering, because I'm not in like the B2C space, I'm just curious if this is something that is more mostly like up market, or if we're still kind of seeing the renewal managers, the same implementation managers, all of those kind of segmented skills that kind of now fit under that account management title that it used to be.
Yeah. I think that from the very top of the organization at the executive CRO, CCO level, you're going to start to see these mergings happening, right? And again, whether it sits under the CRO or the CCO, like you're going to have one executive accountable for both.
Yep.
And you're going to start to have revenues tied to customer success. And I think, honestly, that's how it should be. I think,
yes.
Like just everybody should be accountable, and it makes it more fun and interesting. There is more pressure. There is more at stake, but I think it's probably healthier for the organization. And it's fair to customer success too, right? Like why should they only, be babysitting adoption and things of that nature, but not have skin in the game for renewing and be able to.
Well, only if they're getting compensated for it.
Well,
right?
sure.
Like, let's not task them with all this stuff and then make the assumption like, oh yeah, this is better for them. It's only better for them if
they should be
benefiting.
Compensated for it. Yes,
right.
100%.
So if the
100%.
comp models aren't changing with the roles and the scope,
fair. Yes.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Yeah, we had a CCO up until last year, and when we had our kind of like new reorg, they modeled us under our CRO again, which has been interesting. I really like it so far, at least I should say. If he's listening, that's why I say that. Love you, Jamie.
And the comp structure is fair.
I haven't seen this year's yet. So last year, I'm pretty happy. User testing has always taken care of us. Like there may be chaos when it comes to transitions and all of that kind of stuff. And, I've got plenty of salt to pour into your margarita. But they've always taken care of us. I've been really pleased with that level of it, at least. So I trust that there's something that's going to be, they've already told us. I think to your point, we were like usage based almost all last year. It was just usage. Like that's what our comp was on. And we realized like, that's really driving the wrong outcomes. It's driving, hey guys, do this, because I needed to get a paycheck or other folks need to get a paycheck. And the reality is just because somebody's clicking a button doesn't mean that they find the value in the platform or that they actually meet an expected outcome that they're aligned on. And if you're just talking to the folks that are using the platform, they're not the decision makers anyways. So.
Well, I will say, and this is probably not a trend because it's only literally been a handful of conversations, not more than that. But the leaders that I've chatted with already since the start of 2025, so over the past 6 days, they are all focused on redesigning comp models. And they're doing so with the objective of compensating customer success professionals for revenue activities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
so
I
grateful.
like to see that there is more of a focus on that. In fact, one leader I chatted with this morning or this afternoon rather, he's actually focused on building his CS function around a P&L to truly understand the profitability of their business in terms of the revenue, their contributions to the overall business. And I was like, I love that. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, it's too soon for me to be like, yes, this is what's happening. It's literally been a handful of conversations over a couple of days, but every single one of those conversations, it has been with a leader talking about redesigning comp structures with this intention.
Yeah, I love that.
But
Josh, how are you thinking about
everyone
comping?
is taking on revenue.
How am I thinking about comping for my army of customer success managers?
Oh, 75.
Josh, how do you pay yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I do have.
Wait, you pay yourself? Are we getting paid?
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
You're not getting the checks?
I quit.
Oh.
I did get this really nice long sleeve pullover.
That was last year.
Thank you for pointing that out.
But you're welcome to think it was this year as well.
I was trying to make the point that you didn't send me anything.
Your Christmas gift is in the mail.
Aren't they always?
Yes. No, literally. Okay, so other trends, other things to be looking out for in 2025. I mean, we can talk about AI, we talk about the tools, we talk about all that.
But can we talk about how you get ready for AI?
Sure, go ahead. How are you getting ready for AI,
so can
Kristi?
we talk about data? Okay, listen, I think everyone is super focused on like the innovation that AI is going to provide. And I'm bought in. I believe that it's going to be transformative. But how can we get there when everyone's sitting on crap data that they don't trust?
Yeah.
Kristi, I love when you talk dirty data to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, data is only dirty these days. So listen.
That did something to me, Kristi.
Yeah, I bet.
Gotta be honest.
I'm sure, John.
I bet. All right, we're
gonna talk data. Talk data.
Okay. So, and listen, I know this is not the case in every situation, but for a lot of the AI and the technologies that I'm at least exploring and tinkering with, they require data to power some things. And so it's like, okay, great. If these are all the outcomes that I'm going to get from this tool, right? Whether it's predictive insights or I'm getting some action, right? That's going to drive other actions. And it's based off of inputs or some data that's being collected. But if that is inaccurate, outdated, inconsistent, there's no governance over it. Yeah. How are we trusting it? So what good is the AI if it's sitting on garbage? It's not, right?
It's not.
Am I wrong? But so why isn't that everyone's top priority? Because I think AI still has a lot to be built and I think there's a lot coming, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a CS leader, today I'm preparing for the future and I would be doing that by focusing on how do we get my data so clean, so tight, get the governance around it, make sure that when all of the technologies that I want to use are ready, so am I.
So what are you referring to? CRM data? What
it could be anything. Listen, data doesn't live just in your CRM. And even if it is in your CRM,
no, but what type of data
companies
are
pulling
it in
from everywhere. It depends on what you're using. I don't know. I can tell you right now, anytime I'm speaking at an event and I ask people, raise your hand if you trust your data. There's always two people in the crowd that raise their hand, and I'm like, "You're lying to yourself. That's fine."
What does that mean? But get specific. I get it.
Do you mean
all right,
like customer data?
Let's just talk about customer data. Let's just talk about how many of their contacts are outdated. People have left. You've got outdated titles. You've got outdated email addresses. People aren't even there anymore. We're just talking basic things, just with contact information. Cool. That's wrong. Okay. So if you're using this to drive automations and insights around people, and I'm going to go collect, what are you doing that with? People that aren't even there anymore, things that aren't even useful. If it's going to have, again, actions that are driven from predictive insights, cool. Are we sending things to the wrong people? Are we going to get bounce backs? I'm only talking about that one piece of information. Now you've got customer data that's outdated. You've got folks who don't log any of their information in one place. I still talk to CSMs who this one uses Evernote, this one uses OneNote, this one uses their notebook, this one uses Google Notes, this one, okay, but that's company's proprietary data. Why isn't it being stored in governed technology that is approved by your IT and security teams? Why? How is that happening?
John, it sounds like she works for a CS platform.
Oh, do you work for? Wait,
Kristi, centralize all the data. Yeah, we weren't aware.
No, but here, Josh. Do you remember the conversation?
True. This isn't it's
totally true. Right. But do you remember the conversation we had a couple weeks ago with Lauren from Glean?
Yeah.
This is one of those things that I've been spending a lot of time on. I agree with you, Kristi. The data problem is part of the problem. But what Josh is pointing out, I think, is the bigger problem, is that I think that we say data, and I don't think that we actually say what we mean, right? So if nobody owns data, how marketing handles their leads is going to be completely different than how sales does. And those often transition from marketing to sales to CS, right? And if we're all in separate tools, and the taxonomy is different, how they spell their names, if there's a prefix or a post, any of that kind of stuff is dependent on departments. And all of these tools are selling into silos. They're selling as a solution for CS. But the solution for CS isn't just AI. The solution for CS should be, here's all the data in the rest of your organization. It's not just your data. Yeah. And I don't see tools that are actually breaking through on that. And I know that's because of how you sell, and VCs need quick wins and they need growth, and there's so much stuff that goes into that. But we are still in this AI as a point solution where there isn't actually a platform that says.
Well, the good news is that the what's coming are agent workflows, right? We've heard, right? And one of the nice virtues of the agent workflows is that they're going to be able to traverse all those different databases, all the different systems,
identify.
And so I was actually listening to a podcast, a much better one than ours yesterday.
That's not a difficult job.
From the team at Y Combinator. One of the few things that I like that comes out of Y Combinator. And they were talking about how the like agent work, like it's going to be the demise in some ways. I don't want to be sensational here, and this is a different topic, but like in some ways the demise of SaaS software, because you can have an agent that can traverse any backend system, whatever code it's written in, whatever database, and can collect all that information for you. And then that becomes the co-pilot just to surface whatever you need. And so this stuff is coming. Now, that's not a very practical response for like the year 2025, because agent workflows are, here, and they're going to be becoming much more prominent in 2025. So my prediction is that just like it took like a little bit more mass adoption, like about a year for people to understand what an LLM is and to really kind of start becoming more familiar with ChatGPT, by the end of this year, people are going to really start to becoming like more familiar with agent workflows and start to use those. I was actually in Zapier this morning, and all of a sudden, like the thing was like, hey, what kind of workflow do you want to build? And I just typed in a prompt, and it automatically just created the entire workflow, which is amazing.
Now, I agree with you. I think to your question, Josh, about like, what do we need to do to get ready for that? I do think that CS leaders need to educate themselves on how data transformation happens within your organization. And I think CSMs have been so secluded from like true data. Like we don't have access to the data lakes. I get the reports from Tableau that somebody else builds for me, right? There's so many tools out there that are so powerful that we don't necessarily have control or access over. So I do think the intelligent leaders in CS specifically are going to understand this year how to not unify with the customer alignment, but also like understand how data transitions internally. And this unification that had to happen this last year because of budgets is actually going to benefit us because we reduced tools. We reduced silos.
That's really interesting. I really like that. What you were saying is like, because right now, if you're blocked or you're gated by the reports that somebody in ops or something is generating for you, right? That you have to wait for to have delivered in a certain time or day or whatever kind of input is in there. You're going to be able, just like this morning I was able to do in Zapier, you're going to be able to just go and type a prompt or two and polish it and have whatever data you want, whatever report and alert you want created, just bespoke for you. So,
right. As long as there's governance, right? And I think that's the thing.
Sure, that's fair. Yep.
Just because like if that tool doesn't have an integration with Zapier or doesn't have an integration with Tableau or doesn't have an integration with Pendo where half of the data is living, then you're going to have segmented data. And this is kind of the point that I'm making is because we live in such a bifurcated, siloed, weird, everybody's got hatchet jobs with all of these tools of how things work and everybody's got a roadmap. There isn't going to be like the one ring to rule them all because you can't build an integration for all of the tools, right? Is it Clary or is it PlanHat or is it, Salesforce or is it HubSpot? And it's like, we focus on HubSpot. So we're going to sell to HubSpot customers, but then that customer transitions to Salesforce and then you lose all of your tools, right? I mean, we're still playing in the same space where, I hear what you're saying. And that is a beautiful future, but because the systems, like the organizations that we're building these in don't work that way, there is no harmonious like utopia. You're still going to have tools that get ripped out and then you're going to be missing the largest piece of data because that doesn't work with, whatever LLM was built for you or built by you or OpenAI licenses, all those kind of things. Like there's so many complications that it's not just a free for all. We are still locked behind like the infrastructure of these organizations. And if you got the marketing leader and you've got the CS leader and you've got the IT leader, but the sales leader is like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Then you've missed your pipeline. And if you implement, you're not going to have clean data. You're going to be missing a large part of it. And then you're just going to be working yourself into the problems because what wins?
Well, cool. I like it. I feel like this is one of those conversations where we're just kind of talking in circles. Like we're all on the same page. Like you got to have, the data, like have the right systems talking to each other. I don't know what the...
Just want one tool for everything, man. The whole thing. Just let me log into one thing.
Yeah.
Should we go build it?
No, it's hard.
Well, it's kind of like what Rippling is doing for HR software, right? They're just creating the foundation and then different apps and different teams that act as their own little startups within the company to build the apps on top of it. Hey, everybody, it's Josh. I'm taking a quick break from the podcast to tell you a bit about UpdateAI. I started UpdateAI to solve two major challenges for CS teams. The first is that we save CSMs 4 to 5 hours per week with our productivity through AI. Secondly, we give leaders a window into all the conversations across each account
and the entire portfolio. So we help knowledge transfer, we help increase the coverage model of your CS teams, and we help you detect emerging patterns in what your customers are telling your CSMs across all the risks, product feedback, advocacy moments, and expansion opportunities. So come check us out at www.UpdateAI. It's completely free to sign up and trial.
Kristi, what do you want to see this year?
What I want to see? I want to see people get their shit together. I feel like I know that that's like such a broad statement and it's a complaint. Like I want to be this like visionary right now and be like, oh my gosh, here's the future and here's what I want to see. And like I have a notebook full of that. There are teams that aren't even ready for like what's available like 8 months ago. And so I just feel like we just need organizations to like figure out what it is that they're supposed to be doing and start doing that. And I just feel like there's still an absence of that in more places than I think is okay at this point.
I want to see a lot of the CSMs that are looking for work get work.
Yes.
Wait, has anyone seen the LinkedIn feed? Like, I don't know, the past couple of days, my feed has just been people announcing jobs and promotions. And so I don't know, like I actually made a TikTok video just not that long ago about that very thing. I think that we're going to see that turn a corner, Josh. I do think that the market will pick back up.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. Well, Q4 was strong for a lot. If you look at all of the reports that we saw, in the last year, like our numbers are up. I'm seeing a lot of stuff in our customer base and numbers are up for Q4. Like there seems to be a loosening of purse strings, which is great. But to your point, like, yeah, let's throw bodies at it. But maybe we need more consultants that are coming in and bashing heads together and saying, like, do you know your core problems? Do you know where your leaky buckets are? Do you know what your retention actually means? And I liked your point about like building a CS practice around a P&L. Like, yeah, so your CSMs manage $2 million and you pay them X, but like, what's the effort that they're putting into? Didn't you have, oh man, Kristi, I feel like you had like you didn't want to call it a QBR. This was a couple years ago. You had
a core. My customer objective review.
Yeah. Like, does anybody know what their customers' objectives are?
No, I did a post on that this morning too. I'm like, it's January. Like, you got no excuses right now. Like, you could this is the best time to rally around that.
Huh. That's my vision for Update for 2025, by the way. Seriously, is we want to stitch together what we have in our product. And I'm not going to go and use this as a full advertisement, but like
you do normally,
like I do normally, but we think that there's a huge opportunity in like basically tracking the objectives. We call it the stated needs, right? Stated needs, sure. Objectives, fine, whatever. But tracking the needs, objectives of your customers from very beginning to end. And just making sure that's the right cadence and everybody's voice is heard and that you're following up appropriately. I think that's a huge, and actually one of the things that I'm starting to hear is, which is good for us, is like voice of the customer seems to have evolved in the past, several months from what it was before. It's no longer, people before would be like, okay, I've got my NPS. That's my voice of the customer. All right. Nobody actually wants to listen to NPS. But now I think people really understand that LLMs and technology can properly interpret voice of the customer, even from different data sources, to your point before. And so I see that being like a much stronger thing as a trend in the industry. What else?
What else, Josh?
LinkedIn posts.
I'm sorry. Oh gosh, here we go.
Here he goes.
It's so hard.
Old man Schachter. Here he goes.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. I would like to see less, and I'm talking about myself included, and very much so, Kristi. I would like to see.
I want to see less from you, Kristi.
less AI generated LinkedIn posts.
I don't use AI for my posts.
Kristi writes all her shit.
Oh,
I use it sometimes to like clean up. No, I'll use it to clean up my stuff because more often than not, my content has typos and grammatical errors. And so I got a lot of people who love to send me DMs about, hey, you have a typo in your post. And so obviously that makes it completely, I was like, obviously like my typo made the whole post invaluable to you. I get it. But so I'll use it for that.
You told us that you use LLMs for your posts.
What are you talking about? No, I don't.
Yes. I sent John and you a text like 3 weeks ago. I was like, hey guys, I discovered the most amazing thing. All I have to do is talk to my ChatGPT app on my mobile phone and it will spit out for like a minute and it'll spit out an amazing LinkedIn post.
Are you sure you sent that to us, Josh?
Yes.
You definitely did not send that to us.
This whole thing about like her calendar schedule and this and that. She's like, welcome to 2024.
No, I have a calendar of all of my topics. But that's not AI writing my content for me.
But
that's
what I was saying is that
me
AI
going
can
to
write
my
your
meetings
content for you.
No, I don't want AI to write my content. What
you just said, Josh, shouldn't.
You shouldn't, but I do.
Yeah.
So I'm basically asking for
less of what I do.
I have a content calendar. I have a content calendar for all of my content.
But I see so many people out there. But I see so many people out there where like, because at this point, like you can sniff the really like lazy when people like generate it through AI and are just too lazy to change it on their own, right? And you can just smell the formatting of it with like some like.
Yeah, it's the uncanny valley of content.
I will say yes and no, because if you actually follow people who are, brand people who talk about like how to write for LinkedIn, they are giving very prescriptive formulas on how to write content that will get engagement. So I think you've got more people who are paying attention to how do I work with the LinkedIn algorithms. So creating shorter sentences, making sure you have a hook. So I do think that there is a formula that a lot of people are following. But no, I am not disagreeing with you, Josh. I do believe that there is a ton of lazy people who are just using AI to write all of their content. I think it's
both. You know what? I think I'm referring to both.
I think you're seeing a combination of both. Yes. And so it's making it appear as if everything is
Well, let me push one button here, because I noticed a trend too. I started feeling this last year, but there are those of us that posted every day and got really good at content. We're really like interested. That was like 2020, right? That's like when I started, and you get some recognition, you win an award, you get to go on panels and you do all these things, right? And then you get like 3 years into it and you kind of like you said, Josh, you kind of get turned into like the get off my lawn guy, right? Where it's like, why am I still doing this? Like, I don't get the same buzz anymore. It's like we're addicts here, just like looking for the next big fix. However, I think LinkedIn has changed dramatically in the last 3 years. Before in 2019,
it's become crap, right? Is what you're saying?
Well, it's really turned into TikTok or Instagram. Like it's now an algorithm, and 100%. Now you got to hack it, and 100%. Now everybody that is a thought leader is now just a thought leader to be a thought leader.
And can I have a very honest moment with you?
You never do before.
I'm a little bit jealous because like Gen Zers just get it. There's something that they just get on how to write crap content that goes viral that I don't understand. And I'm actually
but it means nothing.
But it means nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah, it's vapid. And I think that's the point. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is that like I love the idea of inclusive communities and I love the idea of learning and thought leadership, but the problem is when it becomes all gamified. And I think this is a LinkedIn problem. I think that corporate, like LinkedIn fucked it up.
Yeah.
And then now they're pushing videos and it's like, that's going to really draw down the value of it. I remember when like my first job in SaaS and in software, like I couldn't go to Facebook, but I could go to LinkedIn. So, right, like they blocked Facebook, right? So, but I could go to LinkedIn because that was professional, right? And so that's where you spend your time. And it's a little bit of a dark web, not really dark web, but it's just the Wild West, right? It didn't have any of the bells and whistles. But now it's like more, you can buy ads on LinkedIn super easily through the mobile program. Like it's just turned into another Facebook. And I don't know how you can have something that has that much value like LinkedIn does. Microsoft bought it. Of course, they're going to turn it into like a monetization process. But it really sucked a lot of the joy out of like true connections because I posted something 2 weeks ago and I didn't get any engagement. And I was like, well, this is bullshit. And I deleted it. I was like so pissed. Right. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. I was like, I have all these followers. Why do I have to pay to get in?
I would have liked it.
No, but it's the same thing as like as a musician who spent most of my time on social media trying to get like thousands upon thousands of followers that never engage with my content because it's not spicy enough or it doesn't have a hook. And it's like, we now have to be marketers on top of everything else. And I'm fucking tired. I am so burned out on all of the changes within my organization that I cannot keep up with new algorithmic changes on LinkedIn every 3 to 4 weeks because the long tail is now important. And now it's going to be video and you've got to have the lighting and all this stuff.
No, you're right. Listen, it's turned into social media. Maybe I should just accept that actually. Maybe if you just accept that it's social media, then maybe
it is social media.
Well, it is, right? Yeah, it is. But it's like National Enquirer social media now, right? It's
we're definitely in like Star and like Enquirer territory at this point.
It is now the New York Post.
Or TMZ for other generations.
But also, how are we going to find people in this industry, right? Like, I get it. Like, there's so much value to it, but so many people have tried to build.
But is there?
Well, because I can go and say, hey, I had coffee with this girl. What does she do for a living? Figure it out.
You know how much more valuable I think LinkedIn will be with AI, with like,
it's going to be huge.
I mean, all the data that LinkedIn has, about what you post, whether or not it's genuine or not, but even
personality type, verb, how you speak. But then, Josh, let me ask you this. We're already starting to see like these AI LLMs being fed by other LLMs, right? So if everything on LinkedIn is AI created, and we use another AI to tell me about Josh Schachter, it's going to go look at your profile and everything that you posted that is all AI. Yeah. And it's going to be it's like, oh, he's very intelligent and he's very all this stuff. But in reality, you're just a bald middle-aged dude who like hates CS, right? Like,
But we know that.
But if you read your AI generated LinkedIn posts,
hate CS, but anyways, keep going.
I know you don't, but do you see what I'm saying? Like that, to Kristi's point, that's not good data.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting out the future feeders of LLMs, and it's going to fuck all that stuff up, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a good point. Now I understand what Kristi was saying. We have to prepare for the data, because you're right. If you put in bad data, it will train on bad data. And give you bad responses. Yeah.
And then how do you tell what is like, oh, I got to tag it with AI, but then it's going to be like, oh, I don't value it because it's AI. And it's like, actually, like we should learn how to live with our global overlords, because Skynet is coming. Like,
but Kristi, you've been evangelizing this for a while, that like before you put in place like some fancy tools and all this kind of stuff, just get your processes in place, right? Isn't that what you do with a lot of your customers? Is like, you're like, hey, great, sign the contract. We're great to work with you. Now let's actually take a look and let's like actually figure out the processes to make sure that they're going to fit.
Well, the problem is that it is cart before the horse if you're buying the software before you have the strategy. And despite the fact that I say that all the time, and I know I'm not the only voice out there who says that, because it's true, people are still buying technology because they believe that they need that to orchestrate a strategy.
Yeah, really good salespeople.
And so I'll tell you, like, what ends up happening is that I get customers who don't have a strategy behind it. So therefore, they don't have goals, they don't have objectives, because they're thinking about it very tactically. And so it's like, okay, well, I just need a place for my CSMs to go and log all their calls. I'm like, but why? What is the benefit of that? Great. Now, what are you going to do with that? Right? Like, so I end up having all these conversations where we try to like weave in some strategy in support of that. But if you're coming in and you don't really have a plan, it's hard to then expect the technology to drive something for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're a mechanism. We're just a mechanism to orchestrate your strategy. We are not the strategy.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
I guess this is where, when John said, what do I want for the future? It's like, I want people to have the strategy. Like, go do the work, build the foundation, figure it out. When I ask people, okay, well, what's the reason? Like, what are the top 3 reasons why your customers churned last year? You get all kinds of like wacky responses. So it's like, well, like there was a lot of turnover. I'm like, that's not why your customers churned. Because if you had one person who left your organization, did you only have one person who was using it? Was there not enough value? Is it not being social? Like, there's a ton of other reasons behind that. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not a part of your churn problem, right?
Yeah.
But that's the data that people are reporting out, and that's what people are citing, and like that's the story that's going to the boards. It's wrong. People just lack any sense of strategy and control and governance around what's happening. And then everyone wonders why these programs aren't working, why they're not successful, why they can't retain their customers, why they can't grow their customers. And then why CS is being taken away from customer success professionals and being handed back to sales teams. Because we haven't earned the right to keep our business. Shame on us. Sorry.
I love when you get passionate.
No, but it's true. This is what's frustrating to me, right? So like when you see people like this, John, this is kind of like the full circle moment back to you're like, okay, well, we're seeing everything kind of move into account management. We haven't earned the right to keep it. And at the end of the day, if we're not retaining our customers and giving the organization the ability to grow a base, because we don't have a base, we're not preserving that base, then what are we doing?
I'm going to throw one wrench because I agree.
Go, throw all the wrench, throw all the tools.
My dad actually used to say he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he is still a tool. And I always love that. No, but a CSM is supposed to be consistent with their customers. It's supposed to show up consistently. That's how you build trust. That's how you build responsibility. That's how you build everything in this industry, right? However, our leaders for the last 2 years, every 3 months, have thrown CS into chaos. Not because a CSM doesn't know what they're doing, but because leadership did not understand what was going on in the market. Since 2020, it has been up and down all over the place. And we are overreacting as an industry and as practitioners. And our leaders have been the ones. I'm not saying that there isn't fault on the individuals, but like it's gotten to the point where every 3 months, my target changes, my comp structure changes, what I'm supposed to be doing changes. And the things that I do in global and key accounts takes like a year to implement these programs. So I start something in January and then I have to start over again in March. I have to start over again in June. And then they say, hey, where's usage at? And it's like, well, I haven't fucking finished anything because every single time you told me to paint the wall blue, now I got to paint it red. And tomorrow it's going to be green. So you know what? I'm just going to wait till you figure it out. And then we sit with these stagnant accounts and our customers start saying, you told me something different last week. We have good intentions. We are in those rooms saying, no, this is where we're going. I have the roadmap. I have my leadership. We did our kickoff. We did all this. And then 2 weeks later, you know what? Scrap that. We're going to try something else. Right. And it's like, I just brought 1,000 people into this room based on this promise, and it is now changing again. Why do you think the customers aren't listening to us? Like, it's because every single time I open my mouth, I am telling them something different, and I'm so fucking sick of it. Ooh,
well, if you go to the Reddit customer success subthread, you'll see that you guys are not the only ones. That seems to be a pretty consistent theme across a lot of businesses, is just the consistent change, the lack of guidance, the misset expectations. It seems like every organization is a disaster. If I'm basing it solely on
Reddit, which is true.
Obviously, everything on Reddit is 100% accurate. But I mean, listen, for as much content that is out there, the theme is pretty consistent, right? Like these organizations are messy. We won't say what messy looks like because that's different from company to company, but things are messy. Middle management sucks. And listen, they're just caught in the middle of a whole bunch of things. And that's the thing.
I want to say, like,
I mean, listen, the fault is at the top, right? 100%, because that's what drives all of the behavior all the way down. But people got to
I just feel like everybody is stuck in the middle. And while most people that I meet have such good intentions, they walk into it with such good intentions. It's like we don't have a memory of the happy person that we showed them 3 months ago. And when we go into it, like I've had so many leaders just kind of revolve and be like, hey, we're going to do great stuff this quarter. Right. And then they're gone. And somebody else comes in and says, we're going to do great stuff this quarter. And then they want to know why CSMs are like, God, could you just shut up? I just need to get my emails done. Like, it's like, can we just be real and say this is fucking hard and this is a really difficult time and we're humans just like our customers are humans?
Yeah. And
I hear this human-centric conversation, and that usually means like, I'm going to give you beer in the fridge and we've got ping pong. But the reality is like, no, like just acknowledge the fact that we are fucked up, like that this is a difficult time. And that's why it's work. That's why it's a job. And there is fun in unfucking things. That was not my college experience, but you get what I'm saying. I do. I enjoy that. But if everything that is coming out of leadership is sunshine and roses and it's disconnected from the fact that like we're kind of in the shit right now, I would love it if my CRO was just like, we're in the shit right now and it's going to be chaotic and you need to tell your customers to stick with us however you can.
I mean, listen, the big issue here is that everyone expects that customer success impact is the same as sales, right? Like you're able to see it fast and quick. If you put if you dial up marketing and your pipeline is, 10x greater than it was, great. Then you're going to be able to increase sales. And customer success doesn't work that way, right? The amount of work that has to go in to move your retention a point, to move growth a point. It takes a long time to see that. And I think the problem here is that we're not seeing impact and results quick enough for the board, for the CEOs. And so as a result, everything is like, okay, quick, pivot, do something else because this isn't working. It's like, well, nope, you haven't given it enough time to actually see if it can work. Right.
You know, it's interesting.
And we're not tracking the right early indicators, right? And that's the other thing is we don't actually even know what those indicators are to say like, hey, look, we have early indication that this will work. We have to continue to work it. But we don't have those insights to share because we're not being very thoughtful in how we're measuring the entire workflow of the things we're putting in place. Sorry, Josh.
I do hear from like VCs and stuff that I get the sense that there's more appreciation for CS than there ever was before, and for post sales.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I would say like in my organization, I am feeling it. Like we have had such a focus on the way that we have retained customers over the last 3 years, and I'm so proud of so many of the efforts and the things that we have done. There's been so many good things, and I'm also now seeing us kind of pivot more into what our net new logo looks like. And that's where this account management model that I started the conversation with, whatever you want to call it, is like my inside sales guys on our global and key strategic accounts work within their install base, right? And they're writing orders for renewals and upsells, and they're hitting their quota with that. And I'm talking to them too in the same spaces. And we're all kind of on the calls together. Those people that are making those $300,000-$400,000 as like global account directors could be making that same money going and bringing in new logos while I sit and keep the shop open, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the model that I want to see, where we're not all just sitting in the same room, stepping on each other's toes, having to align and what are you going to take and what am I going to take? Like, fuck off. Like, I can handle this or you can handle this, right? And let's segment our tasks in a way that says the sales guys are getting these really big salaries. Let's make sure that they're bringing in the net new so that we can retain them in the long run.
Yeah.
Get them out of the weeds.
Let's leave it on that. You guys were both very well spoken today. I very, very cogent points from both sides here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can tell
I'm
you.
still flustered by
did you just renew us for the remainder of 2025?
Yes, that was your this was your audition, and you've made the cut for 2025.
I'm glad I showed up.
Yeah, well, it was all the.
I have to focus on only my other 2 podcasts. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and your TikTok and your Instagram and your.
Have you checked out Fee Finder yet?
All right, folks. Maybe. We will see you next week.
Love you guys.
Love you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye.